Recording is live now, sir. The recording is now live, sir. So you can
Oh,
start now.
okay,
So I
okay.
welcome us to today's section. We sincerely appreciate our facilitator in person of Mr. Samuel Gulade for his support, for his sacrifice to impart us and sharing his knowledge with us. So this is the second class that will be taking us. I'll be rounding up the section by next week, right? Mr. Sam, we say a big thank you to you. We are glad to have you here. You can commence your section, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. I would just go into the business straight away. But before I start, I'd like participants to just identify that they are here with me.
Yes, I am here, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. So what we'll be doing today basically is we are going into the business directly. I mentioned this last week. This six big statement in SQL. I'll be using all these statements exhaustively. But like I said last week, there are some functions that we'll also be using in accordance with this. So to just for us to be able to just achieve the goal we want to achieve. So that's what we'll be doing basically today. And I realized that some of us are already scared of SQL. The reality is most people, when they see code, and it's not more like the simple thing they know, they are always scared. SQL is not difficult. As a matter of fact, there are some basic things that once you just know them, you are already well rooted to a reasonable level in SQL. And these are some of the important things that we'll be looking at now. So what I'll be doing now is that I'll be using a data set. I just tried to use last week to introduce us to SQL and tell us how we can create table and all that. Actually, I should have been looking at how to insert data. If I have time, I'll do that, but I want us to face the business that we are here to do. So I'll be using these data sets today, Netflix data sets. And how do we bring these data sets into our Postgres environment? That's what we are going to do quickly. I taught us how to create table last week, so I will not be going back to that again because of our time. So I'll just copy this code here. I've already copied the code here already to create the table. So what I'll be doing is that I'll be creating a table called Netflix. Let me just name it Netflix 5. I believe we all remember how we created table last week. So we'll be using the same process, but this time around, so far we will not be inputting our data with code that would be importing the data directly from CSV file here. So what we'll do is that when we create our table here, we ensure that all these column names that we have here are the same with the column names that we have in the CSV file. So that is what I have just done basically here. If you look at it, we have show ID, we have category, we have cast, we have country, and all that. So that is what I have here. And what I'll be doing now is that I'll just run this code. So let's refresh our table column here. You can see Netflix 5. This data is Netflix data. We are just going to be analyzing it using SQL here. So we have the table here now. If we come here and just run the code that says select asterisk from our table name Netflix 5. So there's a need for space there. So let me highlight this and run. You can see now that we have a table, the table we created, we have it, but there is no data in it. So how do we go about this data? Now, this is this is the data set that we want to import to the SQL. So instead of we typing the data one by one, like using our insert statement to put data into the table, we are just going to use this data that we have here directly in the table. And how do we do that? Let's just watch. I'll come to the table here. On the particular table, I will right click. When I right click, I will move on to this column, this particular menu here, import data. So I'll click on import data. But mind you, you need to, the column name must be the same. If not, it will not work. Now, I will just go to my directory. When I go to my directory, I will pick the data, the CSV file data here. I will pick it and click open. Mind you also, we have different type of CSV in Microsoft Excel. You must ensure that the one you are choosing has this encoding of UTF-8. UTF-8. This is what I'm talking about. When you have your CSV like this, you come here, save as, pick your directory where you want it to be saved. Let's just pick any directory. So once you come here, you can see this CSV format I'm using, the one with UTF-8. It must be this one, else it will not load. So that is what I'm just talking about. Now, having done that, you have this. You can come here to click on column. You just see all the columns that the CSV file you are importing as. You see them here. So once you are done, you just click on OK. You can see below here, the process is completed. So this to tell us that our data is now in there. Let us rerun this. Select from Netflix 5. Let's see. You can see now that we have data in here now. You can see all the data in this CSV file has been imported into our table in our Postgres environments. We have them in here. So now when we have all this here now, we then need to now look at how can we use SQL to extract data from this particular table. These are what we'll be looking at today. So firstly, if you recollect, we have a column here called category. We could just feel like, okay, let us check the number of movies that fall in each of this category. The number of movie that falls in this category. Don't forget, these are the statements that we want to use, the queries that we want to use today. So how do we go about that? We want to find the number of movies under each of this category. So how do we go about that? We are just going to come here, write our select statement. Select. This time around, we are not going to pick this asterisk. When you pick asterisk, what you are simply saying is that just give me all the data inside this table. Give me all the data inside this table. So in this case, we want to look at the number of movies within this column that are here. The number of movie on that the total number of movie based on category. That is what we want to look at now. So how do we do that? Let's select, and in our select, the first thing is we bring out our category. This time around, this category is this column.
Sir, we are not seeing anything again. No, I'm not seeing anything again. No.
Let me confirm.
Your network. I can still see your screen.
Sharing.
I can see your screen here. Is your network? Please, who else can confirm?
I'm not also seeing.
I'm not also seeing. Let me
I can
unshare
see
and
the
share
screen.
again.
They
I
can see your
see
screen.
the
Mr.
screen.
Sam is your network. You and your Glow network, eh? One person will see the end of each other.
Okay. I believe you can all see my screen now, right?
Okay, yes. It's showing
So
now.
we are
Yeah.
going to use this statement. Select, firstly, we pick this category, which is the column name. We now put comma. And the next thing we now want to do is that we want to count. We are going to use count statement like, okay, count this column, show ID, show underscore ID. Now, from next please 5, which is our table name. Are we good? Now, if we do this, the SQL will not be able to run this because we are already counting this and it should be grouped under this category column name. But before we move on, we are all new to SQL here. So let's take it bit by bit. So let's first of all just select these two columns and see what happens. So if you select these two columns and run, the SQL will just give you information about these two columns alone. You'll be seeing this category column and show ID column. So this is to tell you how to select columns if you want from a particular table. Like, initially we have all the columns in the table, but this time around we are saying select category column, select show ID column, and we are seeing it in our results. But what we want to do is that we want to see the total number of movie under each category. So this place, we are going to have it as count, show ID. We are counting this show ID. Then from Netflix 5, we now move on to write another function saying group by this column category. So let us see what we will get now. Let's run this code. Can you see now? So what we have now is that we can now see the total number of movie on each category. We have two major categories here, which is movie and TV show. So the number of show under this category is what we have here now. And how do we do that? We use our select statement, we use our count statement, and we use our from to pick the table we want to get the information from, and we group by the column we want to get the information from. Now, we can also make this more better by saying this count. If you realize now you are saying count here, you can give it an alias by saying count show ID as, we are saying that this column, if this will be coming out as a column, it should be showing as, you can now say, okay, let's say total number of show. Total show. Let's run this code. You realize that this count will change to this alias that we have here. Can you see now? So these are category and these are our total number of show in here. So let's move on a little bit further. We can actually, let me run this code here, or instead of me running this code to show what is on the table, I can always come to this Excel here to just look at what we have in the table and see what we can extract from it because of our time. So the next thing I can say we can do now is let us order this in this is in descending order. Can we order it in ascending order? So we can use this statement here. Order. This statement order, we can use it now. Let's use that here now. We now use, sorry, I prefer it in capital letter. Order by, what's the column name? Order by this column that we just created. Order by this column we just created in ascending order. Yeah, I think I have this. I get this right. Let's run and see. Can you see now? Is now in what? In ascending order. Is in ascending order. So this is the work of this order by. Order by is more like sorting in your Microsoft Excel. While group by is to group your results considering information in a particular column. Now let's move on again. Let's look into this data. For instance, if we then want to now say that we only want the information on movie rating as TV/MA. TV/MA. We just want this information. This data we have, we want it just for just movie rating in this order in this particular name. Yeah. So let's do that. I will not alter this code. Let me just paste it below. Now, what do? We are going to use this query here called where. So that's what we are going to use. And don't forget, where comes after what? Comes after from. Like I told you before, this order you are seeing here, they are not just there, like they just type it there anyhow. It must be followed, else your query will not work. So to use our where now, we now come after from here, we now say where rating equals, sorry, I think where rating equals TV.ma. Yeah. Do I need to quote? Let's see. I don't think I need to quote. Let's run now. You realize that the number should reduce now because we are only checking the information based on a particular function. Okay. What is it saying? Let me quote. Yeah, we now realize that the number has reduced because we are looking at, we've now streamlined this data based on a particular condition that rating is equal to this TV and MA. I don't really know what this TV MA really stands for, the data actually, but we've already streamlined it based on this condition, and we can see it that the count has reduced here. Also, if you look at what we have here, is higher than what we have now. You can see, and is a result is sorted in ascending order, considering the order by that we have here. Now, there are more things that we can do in the data. Don't forget, the first thing I tried to let you know is how to select columns, like the columns you want to pick. This was where we start from. Let me go back there. Let me have it this way. Like, I don't need all these ones for what we started with then. So I don't need, you can actually alias any column any day, anytime, based on what you want to do, but I don't need it for it now. So let me just run this now. You can see to select column, particular column from your table. So this is the query that does that. And in a situation whereby you want to now count, and assuming we have numerical number here, we could have run a function for sum. So this count could also be sum, it can be average, as the case may be, based on what you want to do. And you realize that we cannot use sum for this one because it's not a numerical number. This is not a numerical data, so to say. Let me share. Okay, this show ID is in form of text, so you cannot sum a text. So assuming we have a data that contains something that we can sum together, we can use that group by and sum, or we can find average of anything you want to do at any point in time. Now, what can we still do on this data? I want us to work a bit on date function. Now, if you look at this data here, we have our show ID, we have our category, we have this and this, and we have our date here. What if we want to know, okay, the total number of show per month, and you realize that this information we have here is in form of dates? How do we go about that? So we have to check that now. So what do we do? The first thing is to extract our months out of this dates that we have here. So let's do that quickly. Let me come here with select. We have select, and the column name for the date is release dates. Release dates, and we want it to be to select from here. Select from here. Let's run this. We can see the release dates. You can see the release date. Let's bring the show ID here. You can see the show ID. Now we'll be saying show ID and release date. So we can see the show ID, the ID, and the release date here. Now, how do we extract months out of these dates? That is what we want to do now. Let me just copy this here and bring this down here. So we are going to use a statement called to character. And how do we type that? We use to underscore car. Is it going to work with capital letter like this, or I should have it in small letter? To underscore car. I think it should work. Let's move on. So the next thing now is I'll call out this column name. I'll bring it in here. After that, I'll now put comma. I'll quote and type months. So what I'm simply saying is that from this date, extract month out for me. And this function here will bring the month out in letters. So let's quickly check what we will get now. Let's run this. Yeah, you can see now we now have our month here. Now, from what you can see, you are seeing this as to car here. So let's give it an alias. Months month, let me just put month name. Let's run again. We have it as month name. For those of you that have worked with Microsoft Excel, you agree with me very well that this is not a good practice of extracting months out of your data, because you will be running into error, except in a situation whereby probably you are doing a kind of analysis that you want to know what happens in a particular month compared to other months, regardless of the year or not. You just want to know what happens within months in a calendar. You can use this. But when you are running a kind of you are doing a kind of analysis for months, and the data contains different dates, and you will need to look at what happens in each of the months, considering the year you are picking the month from. Also, you cannot use this kind of analysis. You cannot use this kind of analysis. You cannot use this kind of information that we have here, this month name here. So we also need one more information, which is the year. The year. So we'll look for a way to add the year to this month, and with that we'll be able to know the month and the year together. So let's do that. How do we go about that? We would be using a function called extract. Mind you, you can also use this extract for months, but when you use extract for months, you will not be able to have the months in form of text like this. You'll be having it in number. Maybe January will just be 1, November will be 11, December will be 12. So I prefer this while extracting months. So that's why I use this to character here. So let's go ahead with this for us to have to see what we are doing at glance. I'll be splitting each of the column. I'll be bringing them, putting them on each line. So what am I doing here? Okay, extract, we'll be using a function called extract. We open a bracket, and what do we want to extract? Is we want to extract year. We now put year. We now say from where? From release dates. We are extracting year from release dates. So let's run this code now. So let me just do something now. Let me name this one as year. Yes, it should be okay. Probably let me just put it. Let's run this code now. Oh, I think he doesn't want that code. So we can see now that we've been able to extract our months from this date, and we'll be able to also extract our year from this date. Don't forget what we are up to. We want to know the number of show in each of these months. We want to know the number of show in each of this month. So this one is just showing us that, okay, from each of the show ID, we've been able to extract month and year together. And how do we go about that? You agree with me that what we have here is that we have the month column separately, we have the year separately. If we use group by month here, we only be seeing. Let's do something. Let me quickly do that for us now. Let me do that for us. So we have this function, the same code that we have here. We have it here. This time around, we are not using category. Let's use this character to month. We come first. let me break it down, bring it down to the next line. So we have this character to month as our month name, and we want to count the number of show in each of the months, and we are selecting from this table, and we are not using this where function now. This time around, we are grouping by this month name. We are grouping by this month name. So let's run this code. So you agree with me that we now have our data. This tells us there are some data, there are some of the show ID that doesn't have month name. So actually, that's why it's always good for us to clean our data before we start working on it. But we are not going towards that direction now. You agree with me now that what we have here basically is that we just have the number of show in each of the months. In each of the months, regardless of the year this month belongs to, you just bring everything. So far as January, the total number of show that has ever occurred in January is what we have here. And that is not what we actually want to do. We want it in respect to a particular year. So we can know that, okay, for in year 2022 February, this is the number of show we have. In year 2023 February, this is the number of show we have. So that is what we are up to. How do we go about that? So we already have our code here. We already have our code that extracts our year. We already have our code that extracts our amount, our month here. For those of us that have used Microsoft Excel, we should remember a function called concatenate. We'll be using a similar thing here. But before I run this, let me just do it here for us to see what I'm doing. So this is our show ID, this is the date, the release date, this is our month, this is our year. So we want to use concatenate to join month and year together. How do we do that? I have all this thing written here already. So let me just copy and press enter, paste. There is nothing strange here. Our release date to month in character to give us, which is what gives us this. We also have our extract dates, extract year from date, which is what gives us this. So how do we go about this now? We are going to delete sorry, a moment. So we are going to remove this alias first. We don't need it in this case because we are creating a single column. So we are going to remove that, and we are going to use this sign. You can see it on your keyboard. You use it, and you now, for us to have space in between it, you open a quote here, you put a space, the same sign again. I think something like this also work in Power BI. So use this again, and once we are done, we can now alias this as, let's say, month underscore year. Month underscore year. So let's run this now. Let's see what we get. Yeah, you can see now that the months and the year are now together. So we can say, okay, December 2023, November 2023, December 2017, and all that. We have them together. So that's what we'll be using for what we want to do. Because we want to know the number of show that took place in each month in a particular year. So let's do that now. It's still the same number of the same way, the same format that we have it here. It's still the same format. So what we do now is we just, okay, probably let's just start with the select. Remember that we need two columns, and the first column we need now is this month here. Is this month here that we've already gotten. So this one now will just give us something like this month here that we have here. So that is the first column. And the second column that we'll be using here is the counts. Is the count. Count show ID. We are counting our show ID. Then we now group by. Okay. We have to use from what's our table name? Netflix 5, from Netflix 5, and we then now group by. Don't forget, we'll be grouping by the alias of this column that we join together. Alias, the alias will be grouping by this alias. So let's run this code and see what we have. Now we can see now that we now have the number of show in each of the year. Like in each month of a particular year, we now have the number of show in each month of a particular year. Now, this now is looking somehow. I think what then we may be looking at to do is, how do we sort this? Because it's not coming out in the way we want. Ideally, I think 2023 month should come earlier before this, before that. That will require us to do some further manipulation. This, as it will, if we order by, let's say order by, let's check, order by the month here in ascending orders, because it's in test or now, I don't think it will work. Let's show that. Yeah, it will not. You can see those ones in April, which is start with letter A, are the ones coming from. So it is sorting based on this. Then in this case, we would need a function that will help us on that. We need a function that will help us on that. I think I've done something similar to this on Power BI before. Can we just attempt that now? Or before we do that, let me ask, it's already 15 minutes to our time. Do we have any question?
Beneath Mr. Sam, do you have any
Yes,
questions
I
for
have
us?
a question. I have a question.
Okay.
All right. Please, can you share your screen back? Okay. Now, my first question is this. Writing this query, is it case sensitive? That is one. Like when we are writing select, count, and we are trying to reference from our data set. Now, I remember when you were trying to pick from this column release dates, right? The release, the how started with capital how. So I'm trying to ask that, is it case sensitive? What if we use small letter how? Are we still on track? Then these our select, the major functions, select, from, group by, order by. Are they also case sensitive? What if we did not type in capital letters? That is
Yeah.
my first question.
Okay. Should I answer that before you come up with your next question?
Okay. Yes, please.
Okay. Now you see all these select count. It doesn't necessarily need to be in capital letter. It's not case sensitive. If I come here and I type this in small letter, it will still work. It will still work. But most of the time, it's a good practice to have them in capital letter so you can distinguish them from every other thing you are working with. It's not case sensitive. And even your column name also is not case sensitive. It will still work. But it's a good practice. It's a good practice for you to have it exactly the way it is. You know, maybe because of experience, you know, we've encountered a lot of things, and probably considering the fact that I've used different platforms. Some platforms are case sensitive. If this release is not exactly the way it is on the table, it will not work in some platform. So that's why you see me using them the way it is. So it's a good practice. Like if you are referencing a column, type it the way it is.
Okay.
So
Alright. Thank you.
that's that. The second question.
So my second question is this: when you were writing a code earlier on, we used the select, then asterisk, from. Now
Yeah.
you said once we use that asterisk, we are trying to like reference the whole data set, right?
Yes.
If I'm right. So, but now
Yes.
when you are using when you use the where is it to
Is it
you
group
use
by?
the select when we are trying to make use of one particular column category, right? So I want to ask, what if we now use select, then from that category? Is this still not making sense?
From select from that category? No, you are selecting. If you realize, after my from, we always have the name of the table.
Yes.
So from, what follows after from is the name of the table. We are simply saying select from the table. I think the question you should be asking in this case is like, why is it that we are only having category here? We are not having any other thing here. So that's the question that I feel you should be asking. In this situation, we have a goal that we are driving at. What we want to know is that we want to know the total number of show under each of the category. So that is why we are having only category here. If you come here and you add another column here, the code will not work because it will be conflicting each other. You already said that you should group this thing by category. And for instance, let me now put show ID here.
Okay.
Show ID is simply will bring out all the show ID, and it should come out on, and each this one as it were is is what we grouped under the category. Let me just run it so you can see. It will not run. So it's just like you want to group something into small baskets. I now want to throw a longer stick inside. You understand now? So it will not work. So when you are using group by, you use it strictly with what you want to reference. However, there are some cases whereby when you are working with subqueries, when you are using subqueries that you can on a group by inside another group by. That is a little bit advanced. We are not looking at that now.
Okay.
Is there
I
any
think I
other
get that
thing?
now. Please, can we now go to the query that we did for extraction of dates and months?
Okay, here's it. This is it.
Yes. Now, we used select, show ID, and release date. I understand that one, that we are dealing with those two columns. Then to character, from release date, we want to get months. Then we now alias it as month name. Now, my question now is it possible also to now say to number, let's say to NUM, like if we want our month to be in numbers, not in character, will that code work if we say to num? That is one. Then the second question is, when we now said extract year from release date as year, when we alias it as a year, why are we not using to number?
Now, I think I've explained that to you. The reason why we are using to character here is that we want this month to come in text form. If I come in, let me do what you are talking about for you here. If I come here and I put extract month from date release as, let's say, month in number, I already know that it will come out a number. So let's run it and see. You can see now that the month is coming out in number, and that is not what I want. But however, we can still use it this way. We can still use it this way. Let me just go about that. Let's see that. Let me just copy this. Netflix 5. So instead of me having this two character, I can just pick this extract month from date. I can pick this extract month from date. The good thing is, it's just good for you to know the different formats, and put my slash here in between this quotes here. You understand? So let's run it. Okay, let me now put new one, new month and year. Let's run it. What's happening? Okay, I need a comma here. I need a comma here. Let's run it now. You can see. So this is 8/2022, 2020, which is August 2020. So it will still work. You can use it this way also.
I think.
Is there any other question?
Ebenezer, no question for our facilitator.
Sorry, this one, this one that you used for when we want to use concatenate to put the month and year together. Please, which character did we use? 1, then we open a bracket, inverted comma.
It's not 1. It's not 1. It's a sign on your keyboard.
That's an apostrophe sign, right?
No,
this one that looks like
no, it's not apostrophe. How do I explain this thing now?
No. Is that 1 no? Is that 1 at the top? I'm saying
this one.
The double quote, the one of single quotes now. Okay. I got it. That one is on your keyboard. if you check your keyboard, that your backward slash,
This one is
you
on,
see it on your
yeah,
keyboard. If you
it's
check your
on your
keyboard backward slash, you see it on
Backward
it.
slash.
Yes.
yes. You just press shift that backward slide. So basically,
Mr.
this is
Samsa. Mr. Samsa.
Yes, sir. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm
Please,
with you.
you assist us with the queries. So you help us put it inside a notepad and share. So or post on the platform too.
I'm using my phone.
No,
Because
no,
my
it's
laptop.
Mr. Tokwe that I'm saying. Mr. Tokwe, do you, yes, sir. You help us to
no,
copy
no
the
problem.
queries.
I will share it,
All right,
and at the
thank
same
you.
time share the CSV file.
All right, thank you. Okay, it seems like there is no question. Do you have anything else to add before we call it a day?
Please,
Yeah, what I
want to know,
wanted
please,
to. Okay.
please, sorry, I'm sorry, my question is getting too much. Oh. It's just like I think I'm
It's
putting so
not
much
to. It's
interest.
not to.
Oh, okay. So, these are our major statements that we are using. So definitely, if we want to start any query, fine, we are going to start with select. Then
Obviously.
is it compulsory we follow that order?
If you have anything you want to do, are you getting it? That
Yes.
is in this order, you must follow this order. As a matter of fact, it must just follow this order. If you are to use group by must come after from. If you are to use order by, it must come after order by. And if there is need for you to use where, your where comes immediately after your from, which is what I did here.
Select from here.
From.
Select from here. Select from here.
And we also have one that behave like from, which is having. That having can come after group by. So this having now, we now be working based on this group I function that you already have here. The having will be working based on the condition. For instance, let's check this now. We already know that this is our group by. Abi, we can now say after this group by, we can now say having total show. Having total show greater than 30. You realize that this having is working based on the result of this your group by. Are you getting it? It's different from this where that is speaking, working directly from your data source, from your source data. You understand now? So now let's run this now. What's happening? Okay. Column total show does not exist.
But we've done it as alias.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to share. It should work now. Okay. Let me pick this. At times it will be acting strange. It could be acting strange at times. So you can see that it's working. So the information you now be getting here is those ones greater than that 30. But have this at the back of your mind. This having is working with the group by result you are having. Are you getting it?
Yes.
He's working with the group by results that you have. So he's now filtering the group by results that you have. So that's that about that. The next thing I think we should be looking at, which is not today, is how do we sort this thing properly? Which I think this will this will work. This will be very useful. This will be very useful. We look for a way to sum this month's year, this this month in number and this year together, and probably we had 100 or something. I think we do a lot of this in Power BI. So when we have this, then we can now use it to sort this using order by down here. So we'll do that next week. So thank you everybody. See you next week. So next week,
Thank you
what
so
we'll be
much, bro.
doing, I will start with this. I will start with this next week, and at the same time, we will now look inner join, outer join, and all that. So with that, you have a very good foundation with SQL, and I think you
All
are
right,
good.
thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We really appreciate you. Thank you. God bless you. So
Yeah.
everyone, the video will be recorded for us so while we work and practice. So Mr. Sam, please, all the files you imported and the queries, kindly share on the group. So when the video is uploaded, they can follow along. So I wish us